Guys, here we are on the Swing Sugar Appeals Golf Club. What I'm going to talk about over the next few weeks, I'm going to do like a beginner's guide into golf. So first thing I'm going to cover today is backswing. So the backswing I'm going to talk about is, what is the backswing? The backswing is a rotation of the shoulders around an axis, okay? So it's a rotational axis around the body. So as we rotate the club back, our hips and shoulders rotate. The club moves up and around, obviously in relation to where our shoulders are positioned, okay? So let's talk about the first half of the backswing. So the first half of the club, the backswing that the club travels is, so as to take the club back, the first half, the club is slightly adjusted. That is adjusted by some wrist sets. So as I take the club back, my shoulders and my hips rotate, but the wrists hinge halfway, okay? So the club is slightly adjusted, okay? So if you had no wrist action, so if you look at the club rises up the way as my wrist hinge, it rises on a rotational axis. It's an inclined plane, okay? So if I wasn't to hinge my wrists at all and just keep my arms straight, the club would go inside, which it would go inside a little bit too early, so it would almost go inside because my hands haven't hinged at all. So the club would go completely inside, okay? So it would be the opposite if we were to pick the club up too quickly, which we class as upright. So if I take the club up too quickly, if I hinge the wrist too quickly before my club reaches parallel to my right hip, that means that the club would be too upright, okay? So create a shallow and steep swing path. So obviously with the driver we've got a shallower swing path because we're further away from the golf ball and the club's more rounded, the swing path's more rounded. But because we've got a shorter shot with a wedge, it's more steeper because we're close to the golf ball, path's more up and down, okay? So what we need to understand is obviously flatter with the driver, the primacy with the driver, and then more upright with the iron, okay? So the first move of the backswing, what we're going to talk about. So if I was to take the club back, the first move is a rotation of my shoulders and hips. So the club moves because my shoulders rotate, but as I get to halfway back in relation to my right hip, my top hand, so my lead hand, which is my left hand if you're right-handed and right if you're left-handed, that is the only part of the swing, or the only wrist that hinges during the backswing, okay? So you hinge, which is known as radial deviation, and as the thumbs point down the way, that's known as ulnar deviation. But anyway, that's too complicated for a lot of golfers starting out. Don't want to give you too much information to work on, okay? So left wrist hinges, top hand hinges, and we're not swaying off the top of the golf ball. So if we get more wrist hinge, that allows the club to move slightly behind our hands, okay? So left hand hinges, the club moves slightly behind the body on the way back. So if we were to hinge the wrist too much with both wrists, so if I was to hinge my right wrist, the club would work up too early. So left wrist hinges, okay? So that's radial deviation, and that's ulnar deviation on the downswing when the thumb's pointing down towards the ground. Radial deviation is when the thumb points up the way, and it's the opposite for ulnar deviation, okay? So as we set the wrist, so if we take the club back, rotation of the hips and shoulders, then as the club gets to waist height, our wrists hinge. So we create some angle, so we create an angle there, a 90-degree angle between the left arm and club shaft. So if we were to allow the wrists to hinge on the way back, so we need to obviously work towards our strength. So hinge the club in a way that it feels comfortable, okay? So create some power, so as I rotate my shoulders, set the club halfway back. So I'm going to hinge the club or create some angle in what feels comfortable to me, okay? But in this moment in time, I'm maintaining my body position, so I'm not swaying off the golf ball, I'm not swaying out of position. So the way I like to picture a golf swing is a cylinder, okay? So, or let's say we're in a test tube, okay? So we don't move outside the test tube. So cylinder down 2 straight lines from feet up to shoulders, okay? An easier example. We don't actually have technology to draw lines on the system, but if you're 2 lines from left to right foot and up to shoulders, then you're not meant to move off the golf ball. any swaying or any movement off the golf ball is known as swaying on the backswing, sliding and downswing. Okay, so we need to understand, in order for us to move the club back, we have to rotate our shoulders, rotate our hips. So we need to stay within the confines of the straight lines. Okay, so we don't move off that line, and then we don't move away from that line. Okay, so rotate hips, rotate shoulders, the club back and forth. We create some wrist hinge. So it's a rotation of the hips and shoulders. Create some wrist hinge. So think of the backswing. The first movement is a rotation of the hips and shoulders, and as we get halfway back, top hand, so left hand, okay, hinges halfway back. Okay, so it's the left hand that hinges. It's not the right hand. We want to get the club slightly behind our hands to create a little bit a strike from the inside. Okay, so create some wrist set from a formation of obviously left shoulder turning, hips turning. So if you've got any thoughts on that video, let me know. It can be quite complicated to start. What to do is pinpoint each thing and then break down what you feel is most helpful. If you've got any thoughts on that video, comment below, and if you find my tips helpful, then there's plenty more free content coming over the next couple of weeks, as I've got a few videos to publish. So thank you, and subscribe to my channel, Allan. Thank you.